The galaxy believed it was perfect. Every star had a place. Every species had rules. Order was survival. For thousands of cycles, the elder civilizations ruled the stars. They believed emotion was weakness, pain was failure, death was a number. To manage, one of these beings was known as a watcher. He was not a warrior. He was a recorder of balance. His duty was to observe worlds and ensure they followed the laws of the galaxy. His homeworld was calm and cold. Tall cities of metal and light covered its surface. There was no hunger, no chaos, no passion. The Watcher had lived many long cycles. He had seen stars die and empires fall, but always according to plan, nothing unexpected. Then the signal came. At first, it was weak, a distortion beyond mapped space, a silence where sound should exist. The Council marked it as a minor anomaly. The Watcher was sent to observe, not to interfere. Interference was forbidden. As he watched, stars began to vanish, not explode, not collapse. They simply disappeared. Entire systems were erased in moments. Civilizations ended without warning. No battle, no chance to flee. The galaxy responded as it always did, with calm calculations, with controlled retreats. Worlds were abandoned to protect more important ones. The Watcher recorded every loss. He felt no grief. Grief was inefficient. Then the anomaly reached his sector. The sky above his world changed color. Space bent like broken glass. Satellites stopped responding. Evacuation orders were issued, not for everyone, only for those deemed essential. The Watcher understood the math. His people would survive elsewhere. The planet was replaceable, but something went wrong. The evacuation gates failed. Energy collapsed across the cities. Ships fell from the sky. For the first time in his life, the Watcher felt fear. The anomaly arrived like a shadow. It consumed light. It consumed matter. It consumed certainty. His world began to tear apart. Buildings cracked. Oceans boiled. The ground screamed. Millions died in silence. The Watcher ran, not because running would save him, but because instinct overruled logic. He saw families break apart. He saw children vanish into empty space. He saw the perfect order fail. The Council sent no help. They had already moved on. The equation no longer included his world. The Watcher escaped in a damaged observation craft, barely functional, barely alive. Behind him, his home vanished, not destroyed, removed. For the first time, the Watcher felt pain, not physical pain, something deeper, something that had no place in the galaxy's rules. He drifted through space, recording nothing, understanding nothing. As systems collapsed across the stars, panic spread. The perfect order was breaking, and the galaxy did not know how to fight without rules while fleeing through uncharted space. The Watcher detected something strange, a small system, ignored by every major power, a yellow star, unstable, violent. Around it, a tiny world, burned with noise, radio waves, energy bursts, chaos. Life signs appeared, short-lived, physically weak, emotionally unstable. The Watcher almost ignored it. The galaxy always ignored such worlds, but then he noticed something impossible. Despite constant conflict, despite disaster, despite suffering, the species on that world did not disappear. They endured. The Watcher marked the system as insignificant, then hesitated. For the first time since his world died, he felt something close to curiosity, and far away, the anomaly kept coming. The Watcher drifted through dark space for many cycles. His ship was damaged, power was low, maps no longer matched reality. Behind him, star systems continued to vanish. Ahead of him, the galaxy remained silent. The Council still spoke of order, but their voices were weaker now. The Watcher reviewed the data again and again. Civilizations older than memory were gone, not defeated, not conquered, simply erased. The galaxy had rules for war, rules for retreat, rules for sacrifice, but no rules for this. Fear spread through the great empires. Though they refused to name it, they called it strategic concern. They called it temporary instability. The Watcher knew better. This was extinction. While moving through unimportant regions of space, his sensors kept returning to the same signal. The small yellow star, the loud, chaotic world. He studied it more closely now, not out of hope, but because there was nothing else left to study. His species called themselves humans. Their technology was crude, their ships were slow, their weapons were weak. They fought each other constantly, over land, over belief, over nothing. From the Watcher's view, they should have destroyed themselves long ago. Any logical species would have, yet they were still there. Human history was filled with loss, plagues, wars, natural disasters. Millions died again and again, cities burned, nations fell. But after every collapse, humans rebuilt. The Watcher did not understand this pattern. Loss should reduce strength. Pain should teach surrender. That was the rule of the galaxy. Humans did not follow it. They mourned their dead. Then they kept moving forward. The Watcher noticed something else. Humans did not avoid pain. They faced it. They remembered it. Their stories were full of suffering, but also full of meaning. The Watcher felt discomfort studying them. Emotion clouded judgment. That was what the elders taught. And yet, emotion seemed to drive humans instead of breaking them. As the anomaly grew closer, the great empires made their decision. They would not waste resources defending weak species. Peripheral worlds would be abandoned, including the human system. Humans were not informed. They were not considered worth warning. The Watcher recorded the decision, then paused. He remembered his own world, labeled replaceable, removed from the equation. For the first time since his escape, the Watcher altered a record. A small change, almost meaningless. He flagged the human system for observation, not protection, not contact, just observation. The anomaly reached the outer edge of human space soon after. Strange distortions appeared. Communication failures spread. Humans noticed something was wrong. They always noticed too late. Their response was chaotic. No unified command, no perfect plan. Yet ships launched anyway. Civilians evacuated where they could. Signals were sent into the dark, most of them unanswered. The Watcher expected panic, collapse, surrender. Instead, humans fought their own fear. They argued, they cried, they stayed, even knowing they would lose. The Watcher felt something tighten inside him, a feeling he had no word for. As the anomaly erased the first human colony, the galaxy looked away. The Watcher did not, because something impossible appeared in the data. A human ship, damaged, outmatched, moving toward the destruction, not away from it. And the Watcher realized, humans did not flee from the dark, they moved into it. The anomaly continued its advance, and for the first time, the Watcher wondered what would happen if his species refused to surrender. The anomaly did not slow. It moved with cold purpose. System by system, light vanished. The elder civilizations activated their final plans. They sealed borders, collapsed jump routes, abandoned entire regions of space. Survival through distance. That was their answer. Human space lay directly in the path of destruction. A thin scattering of colonies, poorly defended, easily erased. The councils calculated the outcome. Human extinction was listed as unavoidable. Acceptable. The Watcher received the report. He recorded it, but his hands trembled. The anomaly struck the first human colony without warning. A mining world, crowded, unprepared. Space twisted. Gravity failed. The colony cracked apart. Millions died in moments. Human signals flooded the void. Distress calls, warnings, goodbyes. Most were never answered. The Watcher expected chaos to end them. He expected humans to scatter and flee, to turn on each other, to surrender to fear. Instead, something else happened. Human worlds went dark, not from destruction, but by choice. Power was rerouted. Cities shut down. Ships were stripped apart, not to escape, but to build. Civilian vessels were turned into shields. Mining lasers became weapons. Stations were fused together into crude defenses. It was inefficient, dangerous, illogical. And yet it continued. Human leaders argued. Nations blamed each other. Old conflicts flared. But when the anomaly came closer, those arguments stopped. The Watcher saw humans stand in ruined streets, watching the sky change color. Knowing death was near, many stayed behind. Not because they believed they would win, but because someone had to hold the line. Human fleets gathered, small, outdated, outmatched. They formed in front of the advancing, dark, like fragile glass against a storm. Alien observers watched in silence. Some recorded, some laughed quietly. The outcome was certain. The anomaly struck the human defense line. Ships were torn apart instantly. Whole squadrons vanished. Human losses were catastrophic. The Watcher felt something twist inside him again. This was the moment every other species broke. This was where Surrender always came, but the human response changed. Instead of retreating, more ships moved forward. Instead of silence, human signals increased, messages of loss, of anger, of memory. Humans named their dead. They carried them into battle, not physically, but in thought. The Watcher noticed a pattern. Every loss made the human response more intense, more focused. Pain did not slow them, it sharpened them, as the anomaly erased another human world. The councils finalized their conclusion. Humanity was finished. They prepared to erase all remaining records, a clean ending. The Watcher hesitated again. His recordings no longer felt neutral, because deep within the human data, he saw something forming, not a weapon, not a strategy, a decision. Humans were no longer trying to survive. They were preparing to resist, no matter the cost. A human fleet regrouped near the edge of the anomaly, damaged, burning, still moving. Their course was set, straight into the darkness. The Watcher stared at the projected path. His logic warned him to stop watching. This would only end one way. But something stronger held his attention as the anomaly expanded, and human ships accelerated toward it. The Watcher realized this was not a defense. It was a challenge. The human fleet moved toward the darkness. Small ships, broken ships, ships that should not still fly. Alien observers tracked their path. The data was shared across the councils. Some watched with curiosity, others with quiet amusement. This was not courage, it was desperation. The galaxy had seen this before, young species charging into death, refusing logic, refusing surrender. They always vanished. The councils did not change their plans. Borders stayed closed, fleets stayed hidden. Humanity was no longer part of the equation. The Watcher continued to observe. Though he was not ordered to, though no one asked for his reports, he watched the human ships approach the anomaly. Sensors screamed warnings, hull temperatures rose, navigation systems failed. Any rational crew would turn back. The humans did not. Ships broke apart under pressure. Some vanished instantly, others limped forward, burning. Escape pods launched into nothing, many never activated. From a distance, it looked like suicide. Alien analysts confirmed it. Human survival chance, 0. They archived the footage as a lesson. Emotion leads to extinction. The Watcher felt something dark settle inside him. This was how his own world had ended, observed, measured, abandoned. The anomaly reacted to the human advance, not violently, but cautiously. Its expansion slowed, not stopped, but altered. The Watcher noticed the change. Others dismissed it. A coincidence, a data error. More human ships arrived, not reinforcements. There were no reserves left. These were final launchers, old vessels pulled from storage, civilian transports reinforced with scrap. Humans boarded knowing they would not return. They left messages behind, images, names, not orders, not commands, memories. The anomaly struck again. A wave of distortion ripped through the fleet. Dozens of ships vanished. The rest pressed closer. Alien observers began to feel discomfort. This was not how extinction behaved. Humans did not scatter. They tightened formation. They flew closer together, sharing damage, blocking ruptures. One ship failed, another took its place. The Watcher saw something the galaxy had never recorded. A species absorbing loss without collapse. Pain echoed through human signals. Grief was everywhere, but so was resolve. Human minds did not shut down under fear. They burned hotter. The councils ordered observation feeds reduced. There was nothing left to learn. The Watcher ignored the order. He focused on the core of the anomaly, a region no probe had ever survived. Human ships were entering it, one by one, and something changed. The anomaly reacted again. Its internal structure shifted. Distortions bent inward, not outward. The Watcher froze. This had never happened before. The galaxy's perfect enemy, the force that erased stars, was responding not to weapons, not to technology, but to refusal. Alien analysts noticed the delay. They rechecked the data. Their confidence wavered. The human fleet was still dying. Losses were beyond counting, but they were not gone. The Watcher felt fear return, not fear of death, fear of what this meant. If the anomaly could be slowed, if it could be forced to react, then the galaxy had been wrong. As the last wave of human ships crossed the final boundary, sensors across known space spiked. Something deep within the anomaly shifted, as if awakened or challenged. The Watcher stared at the readings, his hands shaking, because for the first time since the stars began to vanish, the unstoppable darkness hesitated. The hesitation did not last long, but it was enough. The anomaly shifted again, its shape folding inward, its movement no longer smooth. Alien sensors across the galaxy struggled to understand it. The equations failed, predictions collapsed. This force was not meant to react. It erased, it consumed, it moved on. That was the rule. Human ships continued forward, through tearing space, through crushing gravity. They burned, they broke, they kept moving. The Watcher saw human vessels overload their own core, not as weapons, but as barriers. Ships detonated inside the distortion, not to destroy the anomaly, but to slow it. Each explosion tore at the dark like a wound, small, temporary, but real. The galaxy watched in silence now. No laughter remained, only confusion. Human fleets were not retreating. They were feeding themselves into the threat, layer by layer. Loss became structure. Death became delay. The anomaly reacted with violence. Distortions flared. Entire squadrons vanished. Human signals screamed and cut out, but still more ships followed. The Watcher finally understood. Humans were not trying to win this battle. They were trying to change it. They mapped the anomaly with their own destruction. Each lost ship sending data. Each failure teaching the next wave. Pain became information. Alien commanders could not accept this. No species used itself this way. No civilization treated death as a resource. Human pilots entered zones marked certain death, knowing exactly what that meant. They went anyway. The anomaly began to fracture, its perfect pattern distorted by unpredictability, by sacrifice. It could not calculate. Inside the dark, human machines failed. Human bodies failed. Human will did not. The Watcher saw something change in the data streams. The anomaly was no longer expanding evenly. Its advance staggered, slower. The councils issued emergency debates. Words like reconsideration and intervention appeared. Too late, humans had already crossed a point. No rule covered. They were no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to be heard by the universe. A final human formation assembled. Near the core, only a fraction of what had launched, barely holding together. Their energy signatures spiked beyond safety, beyond logic. Alien analysts warned of total annihilation. There would be nothing left. The Watcher felt something heavy settle in him, a mix of dread and awe. The last human ships accelerated, straight into the heart of the anomaly. Then the darkness screamed, not in sound, but in space itself. A violent rupture tore through the anomaly's center. Energy burst outward. Systems across the galaxy felt the shock. The expansion stopped. For the first time since it appeared, the anomaly halted. Human ships vanished in the blast. Every last signal gone. Silence followed. Heavy, uncertain. The galaxy waited, unsure what it was waiting for. The Watcher stared at the aftermath, sensors struggling to read the void where the anomaly had been. It was damaged, not destroyed, but changed. The unstoppable force had been forced to react, to adapt. The Watcher realized the truth before the councils did. If humans could force the universe to respond, then this was not the end, and whatever came next. The galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy waited for answers. None came quickly. Where the anomaly had been, there was now fractured space, unstable, scarred, still dangerous, but it was no longer advancing. The elder civilizations sent probes, careful, distant. They confirmed what no equation could explain. The anomaly was wounded, its pattern broken, its path disrupted. It had been forced to stop. The councils gathered in emergency session. Panic replaced certainty. Old laws failed to explain what had happened. No advanced weapon had stopped the darkness. No perfect fleet. No ancient technology. Only a weak species, now gone. Humanity was declared extinct. Their records marked as a tragic anomaly, a footnote in the survival of the galaxy. The Watcher did not accept this. He replayed the final data again and again. Human signals cut short. Ships vanishing. Sacrifice layered upon sacrifice. This was not extinction. This was defiance. As weeks passed, something unexpected occurred. The anomaly began to shrink. Slowly, unevenly, as if struggling to hold itself together. The Watcher sent his findings to the councils. They dismissed them at first, reluctant to believe. Then the reports multiplied. Across multiple sectors, the darkness receded. The galaxy realized a terrifying truth. The anomaly had not been defeated by force. It had been exhausted. Human resistance had taught it cost. Salvage teams entered former human space, expecting silence, expecting ruins. They found signals, weak, broken, but alive. Human survivors emerged from hidden stations, from damaged ships drifting without power, from planets thought erased. They were scarred, reduced, grieving, but still moving forward. The councils froze. Humanity was no longer insignificant. They had done what no elder race had dared. They had faced extinction without surrender. New laws were written quietly, borders adjusted, defense strategies rewritten. One rule was never spoken aloud, but every leader understood it. Do not corner humans. The Watcher was summoned at last, asked to explain what he had seen. He spoke of pain becoming purpose, of loss becoming fuel, of a species that did not calculate survival, but chose meaning instead. Theon**.